Hold up, Browns Nation. We need to talk about what just happened, and trust me, it's not what anyone saw coming. While everyone's been focused on Joe Flacco taking the reins as our starting quarterback, there's a storm brewing that could completely derail our Super Bowl dreams before we even get started. And no, I'm not being dramatic. This is the kind of gut punch that changes everything. Picture this. You're feeling good about your team's direction, you've got a veteran quarterback who's been to the promised land, your offensive line finally looks stable, and then boom. One play in a meaningless preseason game potentially wipes out months of careful planning. That's exactly what happened to our Cleveland Browns just days ago, and the ripple effects are going to be massive. Here's what went down that has me losing sleep at night. Ethan Pocic, the anchor of our offensive line, the guy who started every single game since arriving in Cleveland, just suffered what looks like a season-ending knee injury in the preseason finale. Let that sink in for a moment. Our most reliable lineman, the one guy who played all 16 games last season while everyone else was dealing with injuries, is now potentially done before the season even starts. But here's why this is so much worse than just losing one player. Pocic isn't just any offensive lineman, he's the quarterback of our offensive line. The guy who makes the calls, sets the protection schemes, and has been the one constant in a position group that's been through more changes than a teenager's mood. Since coming over from Seattle before the 2022 season, he's been our Iron Man, starting all 44 games and becoming the foundation everything else is built on. And now, analyst Zach Jackson dropped the bomb on social media, posting that Pocic left the locker room with a brace on his left leg, and the early reports are painting a picture nobody wants to see. We're potentially looking at our starting center being unavailable when we need him most, right when Joe Flacco is trying to establish chemistry with his new offensive line. Think about the timing of this disaster. We just announced Flacco as our starter, signaling a new era of stability and veteran leadership. The guy's got Super Bowl experience, he knows how to handle pressure, and he was supposed to be the steady hand guiding us back to playoff contention. But here's the brutal reality. Even the most experienced quarterback in the world can't succeed if he's getting pressured up the middle because his center is injured. This isn't just about one position, either. Pocic's injury creates a domino effect that could destabilize our entire offensive identity. Cleveland has been building toward a power running game, the kind of physical, ground-and-pound offense that wears down defenses and controls the clock. Guess what position is most critical for that style? That's right center. The guy who has to fire off the ball, anchor against nose tackles, and create those crucial push blocks that spring our running backs. Without Pocic, we're looking at either Bucky Williams or rookie Luke Whippler stepping into the most demanding position on the offensive line. Now, Whippler showed some promise in limited action last season, even starting one game when Pocic was out, but there's a massive difference between spot duty and being the full-time anchor of an NFL offensive line. The kid's got talent, but is he ready for the heat that comes with protecting Joe Flacco against the likes of the Ravens and Steelers defense twice a year each? Here's what really gets me fired up about this situation. We finally had continuity on the offensive line. Finally had a group that knew each other, could communicate without thinking, and had developed that chemistry that takes years to build. Pocic was the centerpiece of that unit, literally and figuratively. His ability to identify defensive schemes, make protection calls, and help the guards and tackles around him was invaluable. Now we're potentially starting over with a rookie or a backup who hasn't had extensive starting experience. But you know what? If you've been following Brown's breakout, you know I don't just dwell on the problems, I look for solutions. And there are paths forward here, even if they're not ideal. Whippler, despite being young, has the intelligence and physical tools to potentially fill this role. The coaching staff has had time to work with him, and sometimes adversity creates opportunities for players to step up and prove they belong at this level. The bigger question is how this impacts our entire offensive philosophy. Are we still committed to that power running game if we don't have our anchor at center? Do we need to adjust our schemes to account for a less experienced player in the middle? And how does this affect Joe Flacco's comfort level as he's trying to establish himself as the leader of this offense? Here's where experience matters, and it's why having Flacco under center might actually be a blessing in disguise. This guy has seen every kind of adversity in his career. He's played behind shaky offensive lines, dealt with injuries to key players, and still managed to win a Super Bowl. If anyone can adjust his game and help a young center succeed, it's a veteran like Flacco who understands how to work with his protection. So Browns fans, buckle up. This season is going to be special, and moments like what we witnessed from Sanders are just the beginning. The passion is there, the talent is there, and the time is now. Let's see what this team can do when everything clicks together. What do you think about Sanders' competitive fire? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I want to hear from the best fan base in the NFL. And remember, this is just the start of what promises to be an incredible journey. Stay locked in, stay passionate, and let's watch this team build something unforgettable together.